Drug and alcohol abuse in women aged 18 and over. I would like to start this presentation by acknowledging the traditional owners of the land on which we meet today, the Wurundjeri people of the Kulin Nation. We'd like to pay our respect to the elders past, present, and emerging. We'd like to extend that respect to the Torres Strait Islander community. First and foremost, I'd like to speak about why this concern has been identified. Aboriginal women over the age of 18 in Victoria are particularly concerned about drug and alcohol usage. It goes beyond simply consuming drugs. It has to do with more serious issues, including stress, trauma, violence, and alienation from one's family and culture. Family breakdown, sorrow, loss, racism, and past trauma are among the difficulties that many Aboriginal women encounter. As a result, some use alcohol or drugs as an outlet for stress. According to recent research from the Australian Institute of Health and Welfare, alcohol and drug use are more likely to cause harm to Aboriginal women than to non Aboriginal women. Broken family ties, mental health disorders, and physical health difficulties might result from this. Because of this, we must discuss this matter now. The sociological context. For Aboriginal women above the age of 18, drug and alcohol abuse is a significant problem due to several social cultural reasons. Poverty is one of the main causes. Numerous Aboriginal women have financial difficulties, unemployment, and low income. Some people use drug or alcohol as a coping mechanism when life feels difficult and uncertain. Another problem is education. Racism or familial obligations cause several Aboriginal women to drop out of school or have negative experiences. Lack of education makes it more difficult to get steady employment, which can lead to stress and despair. Another problem is housing. Some women experience homelessness or live in unsafe or overcrowded households. Lack of a safe space can also make substance use more likely. Racism also has a significant impact. Discrimination against Aboriginal women is common in daily life, healthcare, and education. As a result, individuals could put off seeking assistance or believe their voices are not being heard. Another major issue is family violence. To cope with their sadness and suffering, some Aboriginal women who are victims of domestic abuse may turn to drugs or alcohol. Furthermore, a lot of mainstream services lack cultural safety. They might not comprehend the needs and background of Aboriginal women or pass judgment on them. Women find it more difficult to get support as a result. These elements are all related. They increase pressure and complicate recovery. Aboriginal led cultural safe initiatives are crucial because they have a comprehensive understanding of the situation. Historical context. Growing substance abuse among Melbourne's female population. Among women aged 18 to 35, hospital admissions related to alcohol use increased by 17%. Prescription drug abuse has increased by 22% since 2020. Before the 2020s, substance use was primarily seen as a male problem, with few services tailored to women. Stress, gender norms, COVID lockdown, and alcohol marketing are important factors. To cope with the pandemic, 65% turned to drugs, which still have an effect today. Programs and assistance tailored to women are urgently needed. What is the health issue? Drug and substance abuse among Indigenous women above the age of 18 is a huge issue. This is because it affects their mental and physical health. Not only that, but it also has a huge negative impact on their social life. Substance use disorder affects them mentally, causing co-occurring mental health issues like anxiety, depression, and psychotic disorders, as well as lifetime suicidal thoughts and attempts. But what does the data say about that demographic? In a study with 65 Indigenous women, two-thirds of the participants had at least one substance disorder, alcohol dependence. However, sorry, alcohol dependence, however, was the most common disorder at 55% of the women who took part in the study, followed by cannabis at 26. This study also proves to us that Indigenous women misuse drugs as much as Indigenous males. This usually causes behavioral disorders, as around 66% of Indigenous women have been reported to have been arrested under the influence of alcohol, and around 51% have been reported to be under the influence of illicit drugs. However, under custody, only 13% of them have reported having received AOD treatment services or mental health care in the 12 months of custody. Substance dependence among Indigenous women is more prevalent than hazardous use in this cohort. This is the reverse of what is found in the general Australian community. Substance dependency among Indigenous women is highly prevalent. In addition, 60% of Indigenous females had a mental illness either psychotic, mood, or anxiety disorder. The data collected shows how significant this topic is and its need for urgency to be taken care of. The number of substance disorder use. Now we will speak about the cultural appropriate resources and addressing this health topic. A holistic approach to healthcare also works when working with First Nation communities, as it addresses the impacts of colonization. During the Stolen Generation, Aboriginal and Torres Strait Islander people did not have the autonomy over their lives or their children's lives, so Aboriginal and Torres Strait Islander people having the ability to make decisions over their own health helps in making them feel culturally safe as they are valued and listened to. Taking a holistic approach to healthcare works in a culturally safe context as it looks at the many factors that could be causing the disease or illness rather than just the symptoms of the patient. This is much more effective in preventing the disease or illness from occurring again in the long term. Also, having an Aboriginal and Torres Strait Islander person work together with First Nation communities works as they bring experience, knowledge, and a perspective only an Aboriginal and Torres Strait Islander person could provide, and therefore makes it more tailored to the First Nations community's needs. Cultural safety, humility, awareness, and sensitivity will also be needed when working with First Nations communities for it to work, to not offend or deny any Aboriginal and Torres Strait Islander person's identity, but to make them feel culturally safe, valued, and comfortable. But now we will speak about what does not work when working with First Nations communities in a culturally safe context. What doesn't work is not catering the project or program to the specific needs of First Nations communities. First Nation communities would require a holistic approach for it to be successful and effective because it provides an element of cultural safety and addresses the impacts of colonization as mentioned before. When working with First Nation communities, what also doesn't work is not having an Aboriginal and Torres Strait Islander person to help provide their knowledge, skills, and experience because then otherwise some valuable knowledge, skills, and experiences won't be brought into the program, and some valuable Aboriginal and Torres Strait Islander perspective won't be acknowledged. An organization conducted by VACHO is the Nguella Willumbong Aboriginal Corporation. The Nguella Willumbong Corporation aims to deliver quality specialist alcohol and drug residential rehabilitation, Aboriginal Corporation, and also provide outreach support services. Willumbong Aboriginal Corporation meet the support Aboriginal people and their families need. This organization works with all individuals, including women, men, and families, and the community as a whole to provide different types of services to reduce the harm associated with drugs and alcohol. The services are designed to support overall well-being physically, emotionally, and spiritually. The main objective of this organization is to create a safe and positive environment for people who have been affected by drugs and alcohol or are just recovering from substance abuse. This is done by giving access to the best services through a holistic approach. A wide variety of strategies are used to meet these aims. One strategy is to change the Aboriginal and Torres Strait Islander policy, the policy affecting the AOD and homelessness. Also practices and investments. Another strategy is to discover fit-for-purpose therapeutic facilities in Victoria in high-need communities and provide healing services for the families and youth groups. Lastly, they aim to support the transition of Aboriginal people from prison back to society and into communities. The recovery centers that the corporation has established are greatly unique and successful. Individuals can access specific centers that are centered around the precise resources and support they need. It is acknowledged that people seek help for many different reasons, which is why this organization has multiple programs to meet the needs of all individuals. How is it successful? The organization's accomplishments. The organization offers multiple rehabilitation programs for Aboriginal men and women. Specifically in relation to the target audience and issue, the organization has shown its success by operating a women's only recovery center. It is a center for Koori women that provides 24-hour residential alcohol/drug rehab. The many achievements consist of being cultural safe, I mean, sorry. The many achievements consist of providing cultural safe healing programs being effective as aids in staying in recovery for longer periods of time. This is a Victorian based health organization and can be accessed by many Aboriginal women. Thank you for watching.